What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Ultimate 216 show. Joining me today is Cleveland Browns reporter by way of ESPN, Daniel Oyesfusi. Did I get that right?
Got it perfect, man. You got it perfect.
How you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me. I know it's a long time
I
coming.
thank you. For sure, man. Thanks for taking time out your busy schedule to join me. Don't forget, everybody, man, to like, subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Catch our flagship show weekdays starting at 11 a.m. And don't forget to tap into all of our spinoff shows. Daniel, man, it's been a crazy week here in the city of Cleveland, man. Crazy couple weeks in the city of Cleveland. We all know what happened with Deshaun Watson getting injured. For a while there, it seemed like it was players versus the fans. You know, you get to the following week. Of course, we unfortunately lost Jim Donovan. It seemed like the team was emotionally inspired. They played damn good football against the Baltimore Ravens, came out victorious, and now all of a sudden people feel like our playoff hopes are alive. So my first question to you is, realistically, right, when you look at the AFC conference and the AFC North, do the Cleveland Browns still have a realistic chance of making the playoffs?
I mean, the list of teams that have turned around from 2-6 to make the playoffs are pretty slim. But Juan Thornhill had a pretty I'll say realistic outlook and on a fair outlook. He said, at 1-5, he was talking to guys in the locker room and saying, hey, like, you look at our losses, like we've only lost to NFC teams. We've got the entire divisional slate. We've got the bulk of the AFC conference slate. And they kind of took the first step into, right in the season around with getting a big win over the Ravens, over what was the top team in the AFC North. So you look ahead, they're going to have an opportunity to stack some wins and really gain some ground, because if you're beating teams in the AFC North, if you're beating teams in the AFC, that's kind of it's kind of like two wins. You're not only winning for yourself, but you're knocking the team off that's above you. So obviously, you hear a lot of cliche coach speak, player speak, say one game at a time, but for the Browns, it really is one game at a time to give yourself a chance of even realistically talking about the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I couldn't disagree with that at all. I know heading into this week against the Chargers, FanDuel has us as like 1.5 underdogs going into this game, which was quite surprising. I do know over the recent history, I was telling Mikey McNuggets, Nick Chubb performs well against the Chargers, but it seemed like the Cleveland Browns never walk away from those games victorious. You look at last week against the Ravens, Jameis Winston got that start. I think it's his first start since 2022. Dude balled out. Clearly, could have made some mistakes, but he didn't. And I feel like he can play better than what he played last week. In your opinion, which one made the Cleveland Browns look better on offense this past week? Do you think it was the fact that it was a different starting quarterback, or the fact that the Cleveland Browns had a new play caller?
I mean, I really have to point to the quarterback being the most influential change in what we saw last Sunday. And that's not to say that, Ken Dorsey didn't call a good game, because I thought Ken Dorsey called a great play. He was a great play caller in that game in terms of, attacking the weaknesses of the Ravens defense, establishing the run, getting some tough runs out of Nick Chubb to kind of keep the Ravens honest. When you look at Jameis Winston, you saw a quarterback that played with the timing, a rhythm, and a flow that, frankly, we just didn't see with Deshaun Watson. I know that there were a lot of moving parts when Deshaun was in the lineup. The offensive line was banged up. I think this is probably the best offensive line play that we've seen from the Browns, maybe in terms of pass protection. But with Jameis, there was a feel in the pocket that sometimes Deshaun didn't have. And you saw a willingness, really. I think that the biggest thing outside of, maybe the timing, was just a willingness to push the ball downfield. It's crazy how, in the span of, a week, it's gone from the Browns have, the worst wide receiver core in the NFL. They have no speed. They have no athleticism. They have no dynamic playmakers. To now we're talking about Cedric Tillman as being, possibly, this wide receiver that we can build around in Cleveland. So obviously, with Jameis, you're going to take the good with the bad. He wasn't perfect. He did get lucky with some of those passes, especially at the end that probably should have been picked up by Kyle Hamilton. But that's kind of the Jameis, that's the Jameis experience. His willingness to push the ball downfield and really play within the timing of the offense. It really transformed the Browns' offense last Sunday.
Yeah, you look at those weapons, those playmakers, right? Because there has been a lot of talk and a lot of studies about their average depth of speed and can they create separation. I thought Elijah Moore played one of the better games of his career, and not to kind of pile on Ford, but you go back to that Jets game last year that clinched the playoff berth when Amari Cooper didn't play. Elijah Moore stepped up big in that game. It seems like that David Njoku suddenly appears again when there's a different quarterback in there. And so for no rhyme or reason outside of, maybe feel or rhythm for the game, it just seems like everything looked a lot better with Jameis Winston there. As you said, it was the most influential change that was made, last week on the offense. Going forward, do you think Jameis has a realistic opportunity to become, I ain't gonna say long-term solution at quarterback, but short-term solution, right? He's 30 years old. If he plays well, I could see a scenario where the Browns might draft a quarterback, and still have Jameis in the building as the starter to groom the next quarterback of this team. Can you foresee a situation like that coming into place?
Yeah, I think that there's a real possibility, a real chance that Jameis plays well enough that we're in a Flacco situation where we all saw what Joe Flacco did, taking over for this team at I believe 7-4, helping lead them to the playoffs, and he proved that he was a viable starter in this league. Now there's so many moving parts with the Browns situation because Deshaun Watson is out for the year, but he still has 2 fully guaranteed years left on his contract. Right now we talk to ask questions about Deshaun, to Kevin Stefanski, and he wasn't willing to go so far as to say like he's unequivocally the starter when he comes back healthy. And if Jameis continues to play this well, plays as well as he played last Sunday, you're going to be in a spot. He's going to be in a spot where maybe he's kind of played himself out of the Browns price range. Truthfully, like you said, he's only 30, and quarterbacks nowadays are playing into their mid 30s, if not their late 30s. So it is kind of a tough spot where Jameis might play too well, but we got to kind of wait and see because obviously it's just one game.
So you said the waters might be a bit murky here because if Jameis continues to ball out, Jameis very well might earn himself a starting job elsewhere.
Yeah,
right?
and if he plays as well as he played last Sunday, he might be in a position where he's earned the right to say like I want to go to a spot where I'm unequivocally the starter. Maybe a team does give him a little bit more backup / bridge quarterback money. I don't think the Browns are going to be in a position to be in a bidding war for Jameis Winston, at the end of the season when the offseason comes. So yeah, it is a little complicated. I don't think it's just as easy as we're going to re-sign Jameis and draft a quarterback whenever and kind of do this bridge situation. I don't think it's necessarily that simple.
So there is a foreseeable future that Deshaun Watson is still a part of the plans for the Cleveland Browns in 2025. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think he's definitely going to be on the team one way or another because, regardless of what they do, whether it's cut, trade, whatever it may be, the Browns are still going to owe him $46 million. Now, in what role he's going to get that $46 million remains to be seen. He's underwent his Achilles surgery last Friday. The kind of rough timeline that, the Achilles recovery is would put him on track to be ready for the start of the season or, the early part of the season. So it seems like he's going to be on the roster one way or another. Now, whether he's unequivocally the starter, whether he has competition, I'm not sure about that. I think that, we still have so many more games and so many more months. So we get a little more clarity on that. But there's nothing that the Browns aren't in a position to cut ties with Deshaun at the end of this season because right. The financial implications would make roster building prohibitive in 2025. So it seems more than likely than not he's going to be on the roster in some type of way, but his role, I can't say for sure that, yeah, he's definitely going to be the starter because the Browns haven't even committed to that right now.
Yeah, you look at that situation. Like I mean, because the ramifications on the cap is somewhere like 74.5
$172 million to
over 2 years, right?
correct. They
Yeah,
did cap it.
that's a crazy amount of money. I mean, to the point to where you know, if you don't foresee him being a part of your on the field plans, then I can see a situation to where they just pay the man to stay at home. Like, and
Yeah,
I know that might be not ideal to what he wants, unless another team is going to trade for him, which I highly doubt. So,
but it might be
it,
best for for both parties. I mean that's in my mind that's what seems like the most, I don't want to say likely outcome, but the most sensible outcome. If they're kind of in a position, if the Browns are in a position where they're ready to move on, and you know, I mean, I don't know what Deshaun's kind of mindset is. Like Deshaun very well could say like, no, like I want to compete, I want to go out there and I want to prove that I can still be the starting quarterback, and he's well within his right to, because he's under contract and they're paying him and he's on the team. So like I said, it is a tough kind of murky situation that doesn't have like a ton of clarity, for 2025.
yeah, because like the other part of what you just said, I told somebody that there's the another side of this coin to where we're not inside Deshaun Watson's head, and who's to say that based on how he was, received when he got hurt, that he even wants to come back and play in the city of Cleveland again, right? Because there's the Brown side of things, and there's those financial ramifications if you make that decision to move on from Deshaun Watson, which they're not going to do because you cannot put yourself in salary cap hell like that. And so it's like, I don't really see him being a competitor because, like, Daniel, I'm gonna keep it real. If he was the type of dude that wanted to compete and really wasn't worried about that, then I think Joe Flacco would have been re-signed at the end of last year, right? And so to me, just hearing the tidbits in the locker room, David Njoku sounded really excited, more excited than I heard him at any point during this year after the win. You talked to Wyatt Teller, and he talked about just Jameis and how the offensive line played well, but they can even be better to make him better. It just seemed like in 1 week, the entire energy around the team changed.
Yeah.
Am I picking up on that correctly?
I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like there was a life, especially to the offense, that we haven't seen. And again, it's a very long season. But I think that it's a tough pill to swallow for, I think, all involved, whether it's Deshaun, whether it's the organization that, for the second straight time. And again, we'll see what happens over the course of the next, I guess 9 games or so. But it is a tough pill to swallow that so far it seems like all the evidence is shown that whenever a quarterback not named Deshaun Watson has been put in the lineup over the past, year plus, outside of maybe Dorian Thompson Robinson, who had his struggles as a rookie, it seems that we've had a lot of evidence that this offense runs better. They're more dynamic, they're more explosive, there's more rhythm, flow to it. That's 2 years in a row now that we've seen that. And that's a tough pill to swallow for all involved because of what was invested to get Deshaun Watson and all the resources that they put into trying to get him back to that Houston Texans version of Deshaun Watson. At the end of the day, he has $92 million guaranteed to him over the next 2 years. And the Browns they can't cut him, they can't trade him, and he's not in a position to, force his way out. So, it's almost like they're kind of stuck with each other one way or another. And that's why I keep on saying, like, what his role is going to be remains to be seen. But it seems very obvious that he's going to be on this roster one way or another.
All right, Daniel. So as we move on, man, so I'm pretty sure you read the article on Cleveland.com about the Destination Cleveland project, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I found that article pretty fascinating and help me try to unpack this situation, right? We already know the Haslam's committed to moving to Brook Park, building this dome. Out the blue this past week, man, we get renderings of what a dome could look like on a lakefront. First of all,
yeah,
I've been here forever. I've never seen any renderings in my entire life of what a dome stadium could look like on a lakefront. Matter of fact, I've always been told you can't build on this land where the airport is, where Lakefront Airport is.
Yeah.
I read the article, and to me, Daniel, I walked away from this article thinking, like, if everything the city said is true, they putting the ball in Jimmy Haslam's court. And if Jimmy still decides to move this team to Brook Park, Jimmy is going to look like the bad guy. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, this is kind of like the political posturing that you kind of see when this type of. That's why I've just found it kind of amusing because I'm from somebody that's an outsider that's not from the area, but now was kind of getting up to speed with the whole stadium situation. Yeah, this is kind of the latest. This is the latest move to say like, hey, we're putting our options out there. We're giving you options to stay in the city, to stay on the lakefront. Obviously, they have some litigation that's about to play out through the court system. And this is really just the latest kind of attempt. Obviously, like I don't know how much legally the city can do to keep the Haslams in, downtown on the lakefront. But we've seen kind of them play the media game and play the kind of play the court of public opinion with saying like, hey, we'll give you $460 million to renovate the current stadium. We have these renderings of what it looked like at Burke. It's just kind of like that latest step in kind of swaying that public opinion. And maybe if you sway the public opinion, you can sway the actual owner's decision. But they seem pretty hell bent on making this move to Brook Park.
So, because the article outlined that they did the study, you can build on the land, and I think one of the county commissioners even said like nobody has told us to this point that this can't get done within 5 years. The article even said, if the Haslams was on board, that this process can be accelerated. But you're right. It seems like, the Haslams are sold on Brook Park is where they want to be. I just found it pretty interesting because, this airport, I think the article says somewhere around 450 acres of land. Mm-hmm. I think the it's like 176 out there in Brook Park, and the city said, okay, here's about 150, 160 here, for you to do everything that you want to do in Brook Park here. And immediately, like you said, it's the political back and forth, but
it's not a coincidence that it comes out, 2 weeks after, they say, hey, we're going to move forward with Brook Park. And now the team is, trying to file litigation to get some clarity on the Modell law. Like it's not a coincidence at all. But like I said, the Haslam's pretty focused on Brook Park, and now we'll kind of see what happens with the legal situation.
And I think you retweeted yesterday about the Browns had unveiled the plans for the $150+ million mixed-use campus District 46 around the team headquarters in Berea. It includes 16 acres of apartments, a retail space, upscale hotels, parking garages, community fields, sports medicine facilities, etc. Talk about this latest project that the Haslams have their hands in and how it will have a positive impact on that particular community.
Yeah, like I know, several months back, we got a opportunity to speak with Jimmy Haslam. As part of the media, me and other reporters at their annual golf tournament event, and just talking with them and kind of their vision. Like they really view themselves as partners with the community and wanting to not only use their opportunity to obviously have this football team, but to really make partnerships and connections and further develop the greater Cleveland area. Like we've seen that with the way that they talk about, Brook Park and being able to, bring up more business, build more businesses around that area and kind of affect local businesses. And this is kind of the latest step in that, where they are going to have apartments. They are going to have all these different developments to kind of spruce up the area in Berea. And invest in that area and maybe have it be a positive, impact for that local community. So I think it's pretty cool because, like I didn't know much of the Cleveland area, much of what Berea was. Like when I got here, I was like, I don't know what Berea is. So for them to kind of, I saw the renderings. I thought it was pretty cool that, they really seems like they're going to just kind of transform the area and kind of bring more people out there. So it's not just, where the Browns practice, it's an actual, real development for businesses and whatnot.
All right, Daniel, man, we're going to take a quick break, and I think that's a perfect segue. You've been in Cleveland for about 6 months now, and I'm curious to know what your temperature is on my city. And what
temperature's cold. It's getting cold out here.
Come on, man. You from Baltimore, bro. You can't talk about it getting cold. It get cold there, too. We're going to take a quick break, man. Hear a word from our sponsors and come back, and then we're going to get into how much Daniel loves Cleveland so far. Of course, this episode of the Ultimate 216 Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit fanduel.com/UCSS to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's fanduel.com/UCSS. So Daniel, last time, I think the first time we met, you had just arrived in Cleveland. You came on our flagship show, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Did a phenomenal job. We got a chance to know you a little bit and talk about just placing yourself in a new city. Your experience getting to know Cleveland Browns fans, just your experience being here in Cleveland, and what that has been like for you in the last 6 months.
Yes, it's crazy to think that it's already been 6 months that's passed by. But that's what happens when you're covering the Browns, because they keep it interesting every day.
Yeah, they do. Like
Yeah,
a soap opera sometimes, man.
honestly. But no, I think that one of the first things I was told when I was getting ready to make this move is that like this is a passionate fan base. This is a fan base that cares, and that's really important for me. Like I don't like the last thing I want to cover is a team that nobody cares about, and a team that people are apathetic about. So you definitely see that passion come through. Sometimes people get a little wild on Twitter, some crazy in my Twitter mentions, but I let it slide. I'm like, all right, it's just the passion kind of eking out. But it's been a cool experience. This is the second time that I've kind of made a move. Originally from Baltimore, came from Miami. So this is the second time that I'm kind of making a move, and it's really cool to kind of start fresh in a sense and get to kind of know the area, kind of know what makes it special. That's what I told myself like the entire time that I was getting ready for this move. Like I want to go out and kind of see what makes the city special, see where I kind of fit in, and it's been a cool experience so far. Just getting to kind of hear conversations kind of out in public when people are talking about the Browns and how they feel about the team. Like I remember when I was touring apartments, and whenever I said, hey, like, yeah, I'm coming to work for ESPN and cover the Browns, like people just lit up because they love the Browns that much. And everyone told me like, you're going to feel the passion. So I definitely have these first 6 months for sure.
Yeah, I'm about to say, man, it don't take long to feel the passion of our fan base here, man, both good, bad, or indifferent. And like, I just think at the end of the day, like, we just want to see a winner. We want to, experience what you all have experienced in the city that you grew up in. Just being from Baltimore, right? Is there any parallels, any similarities, like from home to Cleveland, that kind of makes you feel comfortable, kind of make you feel like, okay, this is cool? Because I know Miami is Miami. That's his own.
Yeah. Miami was definitely like a big culture change, culture shock.
Yeah.
It's fast paced, and yeah, I think that in this move to Cleveland, obvious, colder weather cities, really blue collar, more low key, slow pace, and I think that that's why like the adjustment hasn't been like maybe as crazy as daunting as it would have been if maybe I was from Miami and I was moving to Cleveland. Just kind of being able to be in a city like that, another just great sports town. I think it's cool that you have downtown and you got the Guardians. I loafed and I should have went to one of the playoff games, but my schedule just didn't allow it. But you got the Guardians, you got the Cavs, you got the Browns right there. I'm going to the Cavs game tonight to see LeBron play. I think that's really cool, and I really like that. Whenever I drive, like I don't live in downtown, but whenever I drive into downtown, I just think that's so cool that you just kind of see, all the sports arenas all together, and on game day, it's a great atmosphere. And I think in Baltimore it's like that, where you have downtown by the harbor, and you got the Ravens, you got the Orioles, and it's like on game day the downtown, that area is just buzzing. So that's been pretty cool. It's more alike than maybe you think, and that's what's kind of made the adjustment a little bit easier.
Big facts, man. I'm gonna have to let Mike know you're gonna be down there, man. We're gonna have to try to find you.
Yeah,
Tonight. It's gonna be a fun one, man. This your first Cavs game?
No, I actually went to the last home game of the year last year when they got bounced out by the Celtics. So it's gonna be my second Cavs game. Hopefully it's a little better result. Even though I am a Bron fan, so I won't be mad if the Cavs win, but if the Lakers win,
No, trust me. It's finicky here in Cleveland when it comes to LeBron. So that's kind of crazy that you from Baltimore. So you typically was rooting for the Cavaliers,
So
or was you like Miami LeBron?
No. So the crazy thing is, I used to hate LeBron. Like I grew up a Wizards fan and used to torment my Wizards. However, I was
Y'all started it. Y'all started it, bro. Gilbert used to talk a lot of trash. Jameis
Deshaun
used to talk a lot of trash.
Stevenson, I remember.
Yeah, like y'all
I,
started it, bro.
I had PTSD from those days. Like I can't watch those highlights. But I grew up also a big D Wade fan. Like that was my favorite player growing up. So when he went to the Heat, I didn't know how close and tight him and LeBron were until like he actually like made the decision and went to Miami. And I kind of like when I saw the way that everyone kind of turned on LeBron, I kind of wanted to be like a contrarian. So I started. Obviously, I was a D Wade fan, so I was rooting for D Wade, and then I was rooting for LeBron, and then I just it just kind of stuck all the way. So that's my goat. I know nobody asks, nobody cares, but that's my goat.
So I think Jordan is the greatest player of all time. Me and my friends actually had this debate all the time, the Jordan, like LeBron debate. I really don't do it professionally. I think it's been done so many times that it's probably lazy commentary. Personally,
I just like saying I just put it this way. I'll put it this way. I was born in '97, so like I didn't watch.
It's different for you.
I watched Jordan in his prime. So I say LeBron is the greatest basketball player that I've watched. Like I just put it at that. And if you want to say Jordan, like that's fine. Like I'm not even going to like argue because 6-0 in the finals is like that's unblemished. But I just
all I'm gonna tell you is Daniel about me, man. I let somebody that was high off narcotics in my house because I was distracted by watching Michael Jordan. I ain't never did that watching LeBron. So, but it's crazy because like for me, lifelong Cavs fan, like I love all my hometown teams, and I remember like I was so pissed off when he left here, but I couldn't find myself to hate him to the level that everybody else hated him. I would find myself in this weird situation of I want to see LeBron ball out, but I don't want to see the Heat win. Like go get your triple doubles, but if y'all didn't damn game, I didn't care, right? You know what I mean? So to get that opportunity to see Bron and Bronny, take that court here in Cleveland, like it'd be special. I'm pretty sure they will have a lot of family from the Northeast Ohio area at that game tonight. A couple more minutes with you, you talk about the parallels, Baltimore to Cleveland, right? And you all are known for like the seafood, right? Say y'all got better seafood than we got here. And I'll give you that. But overall, what's the food scene been like here compared to at home and even in Miami where you worked at? Like, where would you put Cleveland at as far as the food in particular? Because we had these conversations a lot in this building.
Well, it's funny because I remember I was on Twitter a couple months ago, and I think that I don't know if you know Keith Lee, the online. Yeah, so like I think he went to like the DMV, and he was kind of like in the DC area looking for kind of like pop local restaurants. I think the best restaurant he found was in Baltimore, and that kind of like sparked a conversation. Like Baltimore is a real underrated food city. And I say Cleveland is a sneakily underrated food city too. Like honestly, like when I go out, like 95% of the time, I'm going out to like find somewhere to eat. So like I've been to a lot of brunch spots. I've been to a lot of food spots downtown, East 4th and whatnot. My favorite spot is Zanzibar. I'm actually going there later today because my homeboy is in town covering the game, and I was like, I gotta take you to Zanzibar. So I've really been impressed with kind of like the versatility of the food options in Cleveland. And really like whenever I go out, like, I'm going out to eat, like honestly. So it's been good. It's been nice. Obviously Miami is the upscale whatnot, but I've been to some pretty good spots in here in Cleveland that have rivaled, if not topped, what some of the spots in Miami, truthfully.
Yeah, man. So like we're gonna have to link up. I'm gonna text you, but it's this one barbecue spot you got to try out.
Well, what's the name?
It's Sweetport Wilson. If you ain't been there yet, it's on the west side. It's on Madison. But like when you mention East 4th, there's a barbecue spot, Mabel's.
Yeah.
There. Hey, Mike just looked up and was like, no. He said, he said no. Don't sit him there. So yeah, he said we're gonna take you to Sweetport, man. Me, him, and Ant, man. We're gonna grab you and take you to Sweetport. So like I can be there if I'm there, man. We're gonna try to find you today. We're gonna set that up. Listen, brother, I know you got a lot to do. By the time this air, you would have talked to Kevin Stefanski and some of the select players. So go handle your business, go kill it, man. You need anything from any of us here, we got your back. We appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, you all, man. So this is another episode of the Ultimate 216 Show. Catch us next week. Don't forget, man, to be great, spread love. Being great come with a price. Spreading love is priceless. We are out of here.